Hi there, Diane. I'm very happy to see that you have written a set of essays for us. So let's get right into this and see what you did. Okay. The first one is international marketing. Let's see how you answered this. Over the recent years, marketing has become more and more globalized. Nowadays, people get advertisements about international products easily and constantly. Whether this globalized marketing is necessary and helpful or not is... what does this say? I don't know what this word is. I can't read it. And invasive is a heated discussion. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. First of all, I really don't understand what this word is. But regarding your introduction, the task asks you very specifically to give your own views, but it also asks you to give your opinion. If you look at the band descriptors, let me just pull them out for you. See this? This is band, hang on. This is band 7, task achievement. It says presents a clear position throughout the response. So throughout means from the beginning to the end. So that means you have to make your position clear from the beginning of your essay, okay? And when you just say that you're going to discuss both views, you're not making your position clear. So basically you need to say what your opinion is, okay? Let's move on. No, here we go. Those who advocate that international marketing is invasive towards other countries, careful with your spelling, consider the negative impact on people it can have. The tradition of a country is not seen as relevant because the aim of the marketing is to sell as many products as it can. In this way, marketing campaigns ignore traditional culture and sometimes impose, for example, beauty patterns to their products. The doll Barbie is a good example of this invasive marketing. With Western features of white skin and blue eyes, Barbie was sold worldwide, counting with massive globalized marketing. I don't know what you mean here by counting. Do you mean as a result of? I'm not really clear with that expression, why you chose that. However, millions of children around the world grew up with idealized beauty patterns far away from their reality, which is extremely nocive to their emotional development. Okay, there it is, yeah. And this is what you wrote before. I couldn't read it with the typing. All right, fine. This is actually interesting. So I enjoyed what you wrote. I enjoyed your examples. It's certainly cohesive. So yeah, good job. Let's keep going and then we'll look at it more holistically at the end. On the other hand, globalized marketing also helps people to be updated on advances in technology. By doing this, marketing widespread information about useful products, By doing this, marketing spread information, maybe widely, about useful 1L products which enhance the people's quality of life. For instance, GPS, not that GPS, but just GPS, was a recent technology fully advertised. It has reduced the time people spent commuting since GPS provides the most efficient route to a destination. In this context, it is, careful, don't use contractions in IELTS. It is evident that marketing was a necessary tool to allow helpful products to become popular worldwide. Okay, to conclude, I would argue that international marketing is a valuable way of making a product popular. However, it can have detrimental impacts on the country's culture and population by imposing foreign patterns really different from the native one. Okay, so, like I said before, I enjoyed this paragraph. I enjoyed your writing. You write well, and that's great. So that means that you've got some basic elements that will certainly help you do well on IELTS. However, there still is a problem. This paragraph here had a couple of problems. Number one, the problem is that you were talking about marketing in general and not international marketing. Because you mentioned GPS, but that doesn't mean that a local company couldn't market GPS locally. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing to imply here according to your example that a GPS company in, say, England is advertising its product overseas in India. Okay, so it's just globalization and marketing in general, and not this idea of international marketing. Now, the other problem for me here is in this paragraph again, you didn't mention anything about language and culture. And so while everything is well written, those two areas are going to cost you in terms of your task achievement score. Okay? All right, so to conclude, I would argue that international marketing is a valuable way of making a product popular. Okay, we read this. That was fine. So this is the issue here. For me, really, it was this paragraph, and it's going to cost you some marks for your task achievement. Now, let's take a look at your European cars. Okay, the bar chart. Okay, so it's a line graph, a pie chart, a bar chart. So the bar chart illustrates the number of sales of Ford, Audi, and BMW cars measured by in thousands in 9 European countries in 2018. Overall, Hungary was the country with more cars sold in a given year, followed by France and Germany. In contrast, Belgium had the lowest number of car sales, no S, in the period. It can be seen that the proportion of cars sold according to the brand varied significantly for all 9 countries. Belgium had the lowest figures in sales among the countries and reached just under 100,000 cars, no of. Meanwhile, Hungary and France sold over 300,000 units of cars, had the best sales among the countries. The other nations, however, showed sales between 100 and 300 over the period. Okay, make sure that you add the 1,000, otherwise it's going to be considered inaccurate data. With regard to the 3 brands, there is a relevant variation according to the country, and a general trend for all countries cannot be observed. Okay, that's certainly very brief. And let me tell you what's going to be a problem here for you. In terms of the countries, you mentioned Hungary, France, and Germany, and Belgium. So you mentioned 4 countries. I don't think you mentioned any more, did you? No. So here you mentioned them somewhat vaguely. Here you mentioned them a tiny bit more in detail, but still you only mentioned the 4. Now, did you mention the car brands? No, you didn't. So that's another huge problem, except for here. Okay, great, you mentioned it just briefly. But let me think for 1 second. Okay, so let me show you where the problems are. Number 1, you only mentioned those 4 countries. So if I didn't have this in front of me, I would have no idea what those other 5 countries... 5? Yeah, I would have no idea what those other 5 countries are. Okay, so that's a problem. I need to at least know them by name, all right? Just the way you mentioned Ford, Audi, and BMW here, I need to have the names, at the very least, of those 9 countries. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that there is a problem with the fact that you only focused on the totals in your answer. So like I said before, here you did it rather generally, and here you did it a little more in detail. But you only focus on the totals, and you never really talked about how the sales of each individual car contributed to those sales, okay? And that's really important information. I mean, just take a look at what's happening in Belgium. It's like almost exclusively all Ford. Take a look at what happens in Hungary, where the sales are equally distributed. So these are the kinds of pieces of information you absolutely must mention. You did do something that I really, really liked. Where was it? Okay. You gave a range here. So the other nations, however, showed sales between 100 and 300 over the period. I already told you that should be 1,000. But this is really good. So this way you kind of get through all like the middle numbers, okay, which are all really like a mishmash, and you did that successfully. I'm glad you did that. But again, there just wasn't enough detail in some of the other areas, and so all of this is going to cost you for task achievement. You're going to see your score really go down because of some of the missing data, and some of that data is really important, like for example the names of the countries. Okay, but again, the basic elements of your writing are really good. So your grammar and your vocabulary are all excellent. Okay, there was maybe just a couple of places where I had to correct some things. So what we need to do is work together to help you with your task achievement, okay, in both parts of the writing test. So I really would like to see you signing up for more essays. If you find this kind of feedback helpful, I really want to see you continue with them, and we can help you to get the score you need. Okay, do look into it, see which option suits you best, and I hope to see more of your essays very soon. Good luck.